In today's video, I want to walk you through a step-by-step process for influencing and creating change in your church, even if you're not the one in charge making the final decisions. And believe it or not, this process was taught to me by a lead pastor. So not only is it effective, but it's a recommended approach that a lead pastor has signed off on. You know, they get asked for things all the time, told they should be doing things all the time, so they know how they prefer to be approached. And this is a process that they'll appreciate. So let's dive in. Well, hey there, I'm Brady Shearer. This is Pro Church Tools, and we're here to help you and your church navigate the biggest communication shift in 500 years. If we're just meeting for the first time, consider subscribing, turn on the little church bell to get notifications, and follow me on social, particularly on Instagram and TikTok, where I'm dropping my most timely content. The handle there is just my name, @BradyShearer. And if you missed it on the last video, the Pro Church Tools Show, our podcast with my co-host Alexander Mills, is back. On the show, we answer questions from Pro Church Nation pertaining to digital and church communications, and to celebrate, we're giving away gear on every single episode for the foreseeable future. So on the first episode, we gave away a brand new Blackmagic A10 switcher. What are we giving away next? The only way to find out is to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Take a screenshot when you subscribe, and then text that to us along with your question for the show. Text it in to 1-800-485-3139, and then you'll be eligible for all future giveaways on the show as we celebrate the relaunch of the podcast. Those instructions are also in the description, so check that out and follow through. And now, let's talk about how to create change in your church when you're not in charge. We'll begin with step number 1. And it doesn't really matter what you're asking your senior leadership for here or what you're trying to see changed. You might want a piece of new gear, you might want to launch a new ministry, try something different in an existing ministry perhaps. The process is the same for all of these, but I do want to give a specific example. So for the sake of a placeholder here, and again, this could be anything, in this video, we're going to suppose that you want your church to buy a new camera, okay? You can substitute whatever change you want to see, but that's what we'll use for the sake of example in this video. And the key to phase 1 is to marry your request to the vision of the church as set forth by senior leadership. Think about it this way. If you're a senior leader, you have people coming to you all the time with requests, right? Can we do this? Can we not do that? Why do we keep doing this? Very, very rarely, though, are those gripes motivated by the missional trajectory of the church. They're almost always based instead on personal preference. So, if you can marry your ideal change to the mission of the church, you've already set yourself apart and shown that you understand the big picture. And importantly, if you are a younger leader in church, like many of us are, this is going to do wonders for building trust with your senior leaders because you've demonstrated your ability to articulate the vision. So here's how to actually do this. You go to your senior leader and you say this: "Hey, Pastor, I know your vision for our church is to insert your articulation of vision here. And I have an idea for how we can propel that vision forward in," and then you insert whatever ministry or project you're interested in. So to use our camera example, "Hey, Pastor, I know your vision for our church is this, and I have an idea for how we can propel that vision forward through video." So that right there is the first step. Articulate the vision and marry it to your idea to the change that you want to see. Now comes step 2. After you've presented this idea to your senior leader, tied to your church's vision and mission, which should already have changed how your pastor is seeing your request compared to the many others that they hear, we're actually going to take it a step further, because at this point, what usually happens is a leader or a congregation member, well, they'll lobby an idea or request for change to the senior leader, and then it becomes the responsibility of the senior leader. They already have a lot on their plate, and we don't want to make things more difficult for them. And then selfishly, because they have a lot on their plate, if we leave the ball in their court, if it becomes their sole responsibility, it's likely never going to progress. It'll just get tabled as a good idea, but realistically, your senior leader just has too much to tackle right now, and your request is likely to get pushed aside. How do we avoid this? That is what step 2 is for. Here, you basically want to offer up a proof of concept for your idea with no time, creative energy, or monetary investment required on the part of your senior leader. So for our camera example, you started off by saying, "Hey, I know our vision is this. I have an idea for how we can propel that vision forward through video." If it's all right with you, I don't need any of your time, I don't need any budget, but I want to experiment with some short form videos, basically reworking some of the messages that you've preached in the last year. There's a big move towards short form video content across every major social platform right now, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and it's all motivated by the momentum that TikTok has right now. Again, we don't need anything new to make this happen right this second, but I really think it aligns with what we're trying to do as a church. And I just wanted to get your okay first, and then I'll do a little experimenting to see if my hunch is correct. So you get the okay there, and now it's your job to pull off a working version of your change or your project without any investment from your senior leader. So for our camera example, that might mean borrowing a camera from a friend or another church or pastor for a day or an afternoon. It might mean just using your phone to make the first example videos. But this is where you show off your resourcefulness as a leader, making something out of mostly nothing. I mean, that's what we do as church leaders most of the time anyway. And the objective here for you is not to execute on the project or the ideal change in its full finished form, but you want to do enough to have something to show your senior leader so they can immediately catch the vision of what you're trying to accomplish, enough that they're willing to invest in that change. And then finally, step number 3. In our example, let's imagine we used our phone and we whipped up a few short videos that align with our church's mission and touch on a couple of ideas or potential directions that we could take if we started producing these videos consistently. But you also know, man, it would be so much easier if we just had this camera that you want, right? So now we go to our senior leader. We remind them of the idea we first had. We restate how it aligns with their mission and vision for the church, and then you show them how you've created a working version of this, a demo, an example of what this change could look like, and you've done it all yourself. You didn't require anything of them. They're just sitting back and watching you propel the mission forward. They love to see it. And now, finally, comes your proposal. And so far, you've basically done everything without needing a commitment of any kind from your senior leader, right? Well, now comes the ask. And the way to do this well, the real secret here, is not to present one proposal, but to present 3, and to put the one you want as the middle option, okay? Here's what that looks like. Let's say the camera that you want is a $2,000 camera. That's gonna be our middle proposal, the reasonable proposal, not extravagant, but definitely an upgrade on what you currently have, an investment on the part of the church to be sure. And here you've got to explain why this upgrade is important and necessary. That's what the proposal is for. And then you want to prep a lower proposal as well. So here you'll include a $500 camera or a $1,000 camera, and then explain why, despite those prices being somewhat similar, there's a pretty big jump actually in quality and capabilities from your lower proposal to the middle proposal, and then anchor those claims with the higher proposal. Here you come in with a $5,000 camera. You say something like, yeah, this camera is amazing. I mean, truly, it's my dream option. But honestly, we can get most of what that camera can do for our middle option with less than half the price. And this is a really effective strategy. It's called anchoring. And to make this work, when you present your proposals, you want to start with the most expensive and you work your way down. That's crucial. Because basically, you're setting the expectation very high at the start, and then you ask for something much lower than that expectation, making your ask seem that much more reasonable. Of course, the key here is to do it honestly. Don't put your dream most expensive option as your middle proposal and find an even more expensive one for your higher proposal. Find a way to be economical with your church's time, money, and creative resources while still proposing something that will work for your idea or proposed change. That's how it's done. Like I said, we used the example of wanting a new piece of gear in this video, but this process can work for any kind of change you want to see in your church. It doesn't need to be new gear. It could be a change of service order on Sunday or a new ministry idea. The framework here is tremendously flexible, tremendously effective. There's one more important thing about this process that I need to reiterate, and that is, when you follow this blueprint as it's been laid out, you're gonna build trust with your senior leaders, and you're gonna earn relational equity with them because you're doing things the right way. You know, change takes time. And especially if you're newer at a church, we can sometimes feel the rush to want to change a bunch of things all at once. I'd advise against that. Resist that feeling. These kinds of things often take years, plural, so work this process, build trust, and then when you come to ask for something after following this blueprint a few times, don't be surprised if your senior leader just says yes immediately without the need to go through this entire process again, because you've proven you understand the big picture of the church, you have your own ideas, and you're willing to work for them And the senior leadership now, well, they're that much more willing and ready to reciprocate. That'll do it for this video. Make sure again to subscribe to the Pro Church Tools Show, our podcast. It's linked in the description. If you want your question answered, send us your question through text to 1-800-485-3139. Thanks as always for your time, attention, and trust. We'll talk soon.